and very competitive game.
I want to talk a little bit about Tyree Towns, Tom, the tailback for Cheltenham. Last year he rushed for 920 yards in a season, and he was injured 2 weeks ago against Quakertown, and again, that could be having an impact on this Cheltenham team. Anytime you have a key player go down, as we mentioned earlier, it can affect your team in a big way.
Yeah, and Quakertown, as we saw last week, is an outstanding team, and losing a key running back against one of the better opponents that you face during the season is difficult. And it may have taken this Cheltenham team a little bit to get over the loss of that key player. But the way Patterson's running the ball today, that Tyrone Towns must have been some player, because I'm very impressed with Patterson.
Yeah, absolutely. Patterson definitely making the most of his time and his chance.
Right. 2nd 11 for Norristown. The pass is complete in the flat to flanker Ricky Prate. Good read by number 55 for the defense there. Yvonne Robinson, co-captain. Pick up of maybe 2 yards on the play. It's going to bring up a 3rd and 8. And Norristown with the wide side of the field to the left. Alfred just received the play from Coach Roger Grove, who's in his 27th year here at Norristown, as opposed to Coach Joe Grove from Cheltenham, 13 years after arriving from Glen Mills.
Tom, this is a big play for Norristown.
Offered on the hesitation, a little bit out of the reach of Ricky Preet. It's going to bring up a 4th down, another punting situation for Norristown. And they've been very, very cautious in their kicking game. Not so much as squib kicking, but trying to kick away from the speed that Ellensworth and Patterson obviously possess. Talk about those killer swarming bees. There's a few of them flying around me, Bill, and I'm not too happy about it. I just like to refer to the ones in the blue jerseys. All right, here's an end-over-end punt. No fair catch signaled. Patterson fielded the ball at the 28, takes it just over the 30, where at that point Panthers will take over 1st and 10.
And Patterson showing some intestinal fortitude there, catching that punt. I thought for sure he would fair catch that.
Yeah, the Eagles were not too far from him, 3 or 4 yards, and that's where fumbles usually come into play. I think the Eagles thought the same thing. They kind of held up at the end.
Yeah, that's an opportunity when when a player doesn't fair catch or signal for the fair catch, boy, you could generally lay a nice smack on him.
This is both a big offensive series for the Panthers as well as a defensive set for the Eagles. Backs in the eye. Ellensworth over center. Handoff fullback. Like number 33, their fullback, Norman Raisin. No gain, if any, a little gain, if any, on the play.
Yeah, Tom, that was the swarming defense that we're talking about. Just a number of Norristown defenders in on that play.
Yeah, number 90 just came in, and I was waiting for one of the Eagles to lead the field. They did have 12 men in the defensive huddle, but I don't think that rule applies like we've seen the last couple weeks in the Philadelphia Eagles games. I think that could be a pro rule or at least an offensive rule.
Absolutely.
Okay, 2nd and 9 yards to go for the Panthers. Ball just over the 30. There's the pitch they worked on a lot in the pregame. And apparently that pregame work, but there may be a flag on the play. And usually when you see a flag in that area on that type of play, it's usually a blocking in the back or a clip. But we'll see.
Yeah, I think really we had a hold on the tight end for Cheltenham, Tom.
Yeah, it could have been a hold on the tight end. We don't have replay here, so your eyes are better than mine.
The official
at your young age.
Did just give his signal. It was a hold.
And that will go against Cheltenham and nullify that nice play that was made by Patterson, and it'll really put them in a deep hole. From 2nd and 9 or maybe 3rd and 1, it's going to put them in a 2nd and 19 hole. And this is an opportunity that the Eagle defense should really try to go after the quarterback, or maybe even have a run type of blitz to prevent a draw play and keep the Panthers pinned down here at this end.
And neither team right now really able to put together any kind of rhythm offensively.
Well, it goes back to that maybe lack of preparation in the short work week too, Bill.
That could be it.
Uh-oh, there's the handoff. That's the hole you wanted to plug off. Not going to be too harmful. It's going to bring up a 3rd and perhaps 11.
Yeah, back almost to the original line of scrimmage there.
So it'll be interesting to see if Ellensworth will put the ball up here. I get the feeling that Cheltenham is happy that they're still close to the Eagles, and maybe their game plan is to be conservative to keep the score close going into the 4th quarter.
Well, when you're playing an explosive team like Norristown, anytime that you can hang on to the ball and keep the ball out of their hands, you're doing something positive.
Greg McGee, my namesake, is wide left. And there's the handoff. It was a good idea by Cheltenham to try to spread the defense and maybe catch a seam on the line. Norristown, good recognition, made the adjustment to stop that. But that might enhance my feelings about they're just happy right now to keeping the game close.
Yeah, absolutely. A little counterplay there by Cheltenham trying to go in a misdirection, but great defense and great discipline by Norristown to stay home and come up with the play, forcing the 4th down.
Okay, punter number 26, Kyle Douglas, is punt formation. Ricky Prate, single safety for the Eagles.
Tom, this could be the field position that Norristown has been looking for right here.
Well, he's got to field this punt line drive. He can't let it go by him. He's got to get on it. He's got some running room, too. Closed up quickly, but Ricky did a fine job there. He didn't want to let that punt roll dead or squib by him. So they have pretty good position, like you said, Coach, their own 47-yard line. Hold everything, Coach. There is a flag on the field at the Cheltenham 28-yard line. I have no idea what this could be. Maybe somebody left too soon. Personal foul against Norristown. Of course, we were following the flight of the ball. We don't have replay. I don't really know what that could have been. I didn't see any roughing of the kicker, but it looks like the penalty may give Cheltenham a 1st down.
Tom, if it does, that's really going to be displeasing to Coach Grove of Norristown.
Now here comes the official over to the sideline, probably to explain to Coach Grove exactly what transpired on that play to necessitate a huge penalty as a result of a personal foul infraction against Norristown. But it will, in fact, give Panthers a 1st down at their own 47-yard line to keep a drive alive.
Boy, what was going to be good position for Norristown now turns out to be decent field position for Cheltenham and continuation of their drive.
And I didn't see it. It could have been maybe Norristown blocker on the punt return team could have grabbed the face mask. A personal foul, it's not a clip, it's or an illegal block. A personal foul has to be something of unsportsmanlike behavior or conduct. So I'm sure Coach Grove will view his game films and ascertain who the culprit was. Meanwhile, while we were away, while I was commenting, Cheltenham ran a 1st down play for about a yard. Again, Norristown's defense very consistent, but the score's too close to suit Coach Grove right now. Number 1, McGee, flank left, backs in the eye. Number 26, on the inside handoff.
Boy, number
Kyle
90,
Douglas.
Number 90 for Norristown, Tom.
Dexter Johnson.
Dexter Johnson had an opportunity to make a big play in the backfield of Cheltenham, but I just think he didn't see the ball carrier.
Now, Bill, let me ask you a question. You get your football expertise. That play, to me, seems very similar to a Delaware wing T set, where they have the wing back coming back to get the ball. Does that make any sense to you, or is?
Yeah, the wing back is going to be on the tight end side, and I believe you are right. You know, it does resemble Delaware's offense.
I saw Delaware beat my alma mater, Hofstra, 2 weeks ago, and I saw enough of that play that I'm having nightmares about it. Incomplete. Hollingsworth's pass goes incomplete, intended for McGee, number 1. So despite the break that Cheltenham received, Bill, Norristown's defense held tight and forced a 3 and out.
Well, I tell you, you're going to have to really do something spectacular to catch this Norristown defense off guard. They are just phenomenal right now. 7:06 remaining in the second quarter.
Here's the punt by Douglas. Now, Ricky Preet, at that time, he was very, very smart to let that go, because Cheltenham had about 6 people down to cover, and they did not have the spacing to pick that up and risk being hit and fumble.
Now that was a good decision. Norristown will have the ball and appears to be the 22-yard line. Tom, as well as this defense is playing, I'm waiting right now for them to force a turnover. I think that's what this Norristown team needs.
I agree, Bill. They need a spark, and let's hope now the offense can hold the ball and spark it from their end. And there's the guy that can do it. Number 22, James Jacobs. Not a big player, but a lot of heart, a lot of speed, great moves. Almost like the old-time running backs, the guys that could juke.
Well, Jacobs, he's a ball carrier that, as you saw in that last play, can take a play that essentially is a 1 or 2 yard game and just turn it into an 8-yard game like it's nothing.
Right, I'm not going to make comparisons, but Billy, you didn't have the privilege to see Bo Carroll play here, and boy, he could make it look like you had to stop made by one juke of the hips and he was by you. And Jacobs reminds me a little bit about that style. Certainly not the talent yet, or the size of Carroll. But Norristown seems to be going to him right now. And I like what Coach Grove does, Billy. He knows he has a stable of thoroughbred running backs, and he uses them wisely. He doesn't overtire one. He'll have Jacobs run a series, then he'll have Akeem Jones, and then you constantly have Samba banging up the middle.
Absolutely, and that's, like I said, that's what I was so impressed with last week when we saw Jacobs come in that fourth quarter and just completely dominate.
Okay, Norristown 1st and 10 now. Their own 33-yard line. Here's the reverse flanker, reverse to Prate, gets it to about the 34 or 35-yard line. Pickup of 3 on the play. It's going to bring up a second and call it a long 7. That's a similar type of play that I commented on that Cheltenham ran with that flanker back coming back, reverse type.
Right now, both teams defensively pursuing the football heavily, so offensively, they're trying to catch the team off guard and have a little bit of misdirection.
Handoff straight ahead to Samba, nothing. When I say nothing, nope, not much daylight there. What's Cheltenham's defense doing to really keep Norristown's ears pinned back here?
Well, to me, it seems as if they're pinching, and that just means that the defenders are trying to close up gaps and not give those quick backs of Norristown any room to scoot through there and break free.
They seem to be doing a pretty good job of that, Bill.
I think you'll see Coach Grove go to the air here, Tom.
Okay, well, he's got Terrell flanked out left. He's got Ricky Prate flanked out right. He's got Akeem Jones or Jacobs in the slot. Samba back blocking. Looks like it's a good catch by number 88 at midfield by Ernie Terrell. That's his 3rd reception. And
well, just a great job by Norristown there, and you can tell that's a play that I'm sure they've worked on over and over in practice. Just perfectly executed slant from Jamal Alford to Ernie Terrell.
Well, when you have those speed backs that they had, Parade flanked out. They had Jacobs in the slot and Terrell. And this is difficult to defend for a high school secondary, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And there's the pitch with the offense spread. Good recognition by number 31, though, for Cheltenham. Came up, made a good play. He was just placed in the game. I don't have his number.
That's Chris Grunwald.
Okay, number 31. Yes, I do have it. Thanks, Bill. Yeah, good recognition to keep a potential big play.
And I tell you, Lou Samba still picked up about 4 to 5 yards. You know, anytime that young man gets a head of steam going, he's going to fall forward and gain ground for Norristown.
Okay, second down and 6 for the Eagles. Play action pass. Wide open. Oh, I would say wide open. I should have said open was number 11 there, Dana Smith. Very catchable ball, a little high, but certainly catchable. Tight ends have to make that catch. It was a very good execution by number 3, Jamal Alford. He did freeze the linebackers enough where there was space there for Dana to make that catch, but he'll get the next one.
And that was a good read by Jamal Alford. He had his split end long and read underneath and tried to go to Dana Smith.
All right, another big play here. Norristown would like to get another score on the board before the half, and this third down play will have a lot to do with whether or not they can accomplish that. Looks like a screen to Samba. Excellent play call by Norristown. Wide open. I don't see any flags. Samba carries the ball, the reception, inside the 30-yard line. And who was that made a great block there? Was that 62, or did you see that, Billy? Somebody made a good block to free
I
him.
believe I saw Kurt Berry, number 77. I thought I saw him downfield
not 62
making blocks.
because he's on the sidelines here.
And like you said, Tom, just a great call by Coach Grove.
First and 10 Norristown. Ball just inside the 30-yard line. And there he is, doing what he did last week. That's history. That's a touchdown by number 22, Scatback James Jacobs. 28 yards from scrimmage and a touchdown. And Billy, we saw that a lot last week, and I think the Suburban One foes are going to see a lot of that for the balance of the season.
Boy, when you have a great back like Jacobs, he just needs a little slither of a space to get through, and he's off to the races. And you know, as you said, we saw it last week, and here he is continuing again this week against the Cheltenham Panthers.
Okay, number 14 for the Eagles, Jordan Fazzari, in to attempt the point after. Good snap, good hold, kick is up. Kick is good.
And the kick is good.
So approaching halftime, the score's Norristown 14, Cheltenham nothing. And I think that score right before halftime was a big one. We're having trouble reading the scoreboard because of the daylight conditions here.
I have it now, Tom. There's 3:16 left in the game, and as you said, that is the score that Norristown was looking for. That was a nice drive for Norristown, and you know, a good mix of passing and running the ball. Great play calling by Coach Grove and good execution by his team.
That's right. 3:16 to go to the end of the first half, and with Norristown's weapons, and they mix it up like that, they're just virtually impossible to defend, especially if the line's not getting a rush. And Norristown's offensive line is doing an outstanding job not allowing Cheltenham's defense to penetrate that line of scrimmage or that so-called neutral zone.
Tom, as you indicated earlier, you know, you kind of get the sense that Cheltenham, with the score 14-0 right now, you know, I'm sure they'd love to get a score in here before the half, but, you know, you would think almost they may consider it a moral victory going down to only 2 touchdowns to such a powerful team as Norristown.
Right. Okay, Fazzari kicking off. Another squibber. They don't want the hands in Patterson or Ellensworth's hands. The ball advanced to the 37-yard line. And Billy, I just looking out here over the crowd. This crowd stadium filled up pretty respectably on the Norristown side. It's good to see the students out here. They had the option of going home or coming to the game, and it's good to see that they came out to support their Eagles. And unfortunately, the camera's pointing toward the Cheltenham side of the field, and those tickets over there certainly weren't hard to come by. And actually, Mr. Fabrizio opened this game up and the Norristown district free for all. So it's nice to see a nice Norristown crowd here supporting their football team. Ellensworth over center, backs in the eye, straight handoff to the fullback, number 33 for the Panthers. Again, Norman Raisin.
And there's that Norristown defense again. And I tell you what, Tom, the first down has been tremendous for Norristown defense. You know, it can set the tone so much for an offense, and Norristown has just been unforgiving on first down.
That's a real good point you made, Billy, and you're right. Norristown takes a lot of pride in their defense. Of course, they had a couple shutouts earlier this year. They've only given up 26 points, and this is their 5th game. They take a lot of pride. Last year, the defense shut out 7 teams. So Coach Jack Griffiths, the defense coordinator, must be doing something right. And there's a long pass intended. If you can see that number over there, the Cheltenham receiver, but defended very well on the play by number 3, Alfred, and number 1. Number 1 is Hakeem Jones.
Yeah, Hakeem Jones did a great job on that play. It was a decent pump fake by the quarterback, and Hakeem, he didn't bite on it at all, Tom.
Now, it'll be interesting to see what Cheltenham does here. You think they're just going to continue to play conservative? I hope they don't at this point. You've got to play competitive, try to get back in the game. And he in fact, is dropping back the pass. Overthrown. Ellensworth's pass intended for number 26, Kyle Douglas.
You know, a real deep drop by the quarterback that time.
But the point I was trying to make, you know, maybe earlier in the game while the score was still 7-0, perhaps Cheltenham would have been happy to keep the game close. Once you get down 2 scores, you've got to play the game. You got to play football.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you can't convey the message to your kids that we're happy to be just down 14-0. Go out and try to score.
Oh, and right now, unfortunately, the record is 0-4, and they're playing a team that's 4-0. So, you know, you have to feel like you have nothing to lose at some point.
Absolutely. And there's Prate. Let's see what he does here in the last 2 minutes or whatever. All right, good smart play. Picked it up. Good juking. Protected the ball well there, Bill. Brought it close to the 40-yard line. No flags on the play.
Great return. We have 2:06 remaining.
And this is plenty of time for Norristown's explosive offense to add points to the scoreboard, even if they throw the ball deep downfield. Their defense has demonstrated that Cheltenham right now is presenting no threat to scoring. So first down, let's see what Norristown does.
And I believe we have, Norristown has all their timeouts remaining.
Ball handed off on the draw play to number 1, Hakeem Jones. Thrown for a loss in the backfield.
And again, this Cheltenham defense, you know, doing a steady job. You know, they've had a couple breakdowns, but geez, when you have great backs like Norristown does, sooner or later they're going to spring free.
Okay, second down, 11 to go for Norristown. Jamal Alford, Ricky Prate in motion, straight drop back. Alford looking for his receiver, Terrell, and he connects with Terrell for a first down. And it was outstanding catch. More outstanding was holding on to the ball, Terrell, because he took a ferocious hit by the strong safety.
And we've seen that Alford-Terrell battery now 4 times, I believe, in this game. And great poise by Jamal Alford. He just stayed in there and let his receiver come free and completed the pass.
Yeah, he's really maturing as a quarterback as the season progresses. All right, the ball, Norristown, Prate tried to get out of bounds to stop the clock, was not able to. Norristown calls what we believe unofficially to be their first time out here. Coach Grove goes out to meet with the Norristown offense to discuss the next play or maybe next couple plays.
Well, 1:09 remaining in the game here. And Tom, as a head basketball coach, you know that one of the things that you do practice and you do go over is time and possession. So it'll be interesting to see what Norristown, what kind of package they have to come out with here with 1:09 remaining in the half, and you know, approximately 40 yards, 42 yards to get into the end zone.
Right, you're absolutely right, Coach. Clock management in sports such as football, basketball, I think a lot of people don't realize the significance and importance and don't understand that these things have to be practiced. Now, Coach Grove is out there probably now saying, well, here's the situation with the time, here's the timeouts, here's what we have to do. And he's probably just reminding me of the things that we practice, the plays we call for this type of package. And also, you have to have the element of surprise. For the defense might be attempting to play a certain situation that's obvious, and you may have to gamble a little bit and go against the grain, so to speak.
Great point, Tom.
He's going deep, and he's wide open if the ball's not overthrown. Terrell was wide open, and Alford threw that ball over 55 yards in the air. And he did get if you could see the flags waving down there, it wasn't so much a bad overthrown ball as much the wind picked it up and probably carried it 8 yards further than Ernie Terrell wanted it to be.
And you had a chance to see the athleticism of Alford avoiding that tackler and then being able to just rear back on his back foot and deliver that ball, like you said, over 55 yards in the air.
3rd and 4. You could look for a run here because it's 2-down territory in my book. They may try to trick Cheltenham by going a straight run. Now they're going to straight drop back. Threw it in traffic intended for number 11, Dana Smith. Incomplete. Now we'll have to see if Coach Grove is content with a 14-point lead here, and he could maybe punt Quakertown into the hole with seconds to go, if I'm not mistaken. 58 to be exact. Or now they're going to go for it. Coach Grove is on the same page as I am, 4-down territory, and confidence in that defense, even if they don't make it.
And that's the key. The defense has played so well that, you know, it just allows you to make this decision.
And look at this. Unbelievable. Is he going to make it? I think he got it.
He did make it, Tom.
4th down after three incomplete passes. Now, that's the play I talk about. You got to trick the defense. The obvious passing situation there, straight handoff. Excellent play call, the way it worked out. And Norristown, their 2nd timeout, they still have plenty of time out to capitalize here and get in the end zone.
Absolutely, 52 seconds remaining here. And Norristown, you know, just what an asset it is to have a quarterback like Jamal Alford who can drop back and throw. You know, I wouldn't be surprised to see him perhaps on a sprint out here where Coach Grove can utilize his athleticism. And, you know, if he doesn't have the option to pass the ball, if Cheltenham manages to shut that down, then maybe we'll see Jamal Alford run the ball a little bit.
That's a possibility, and if in fact that does materialize, he just has to have the awareness to alluding back to your clock management point, to either throw the ball away if he's in danger or get out of bounds to stop the clock, because they do only have 1 timeout remaining, and they may need that for a possible setting up for a field goal attempt.
Now, another possibility that we could see here, you know, we've seen the Alford-Terrell connection a number of times, and, you know, that's certainly one that I would look for here in this late waning part of the second half.
And Cheltenham hasn't stopped it yet. You know, they haven't proved they could stop that. Terrell's been open every possession, and that's who they're going back to there. Now, let's see what happens there. I think they're going to rule an interception. Yes, they are. Outstanding play. Number 26 on the play was Kyle Douglas.
Ball is intercepted by Kyle Douglas.
And that's a great job by Cheltenham defense and the head coach, Joe Grove, too. I'm sure he said, hey, fellas, you know, we've been burnt now 4 or 5 times by Terrell. Let's make sure we're aware of where he is on the field.
Absolutely. And, you know, just observing that play, when that ball got in the possession of the Cheltenham defender, Terrell tried to at least rip it out to make it an incomplete pass or to regain possession. But Douglas did a good job holding on to that ball. And Cheltenham, I was just going to say, content to be running out the clock, but when you have a back like Patterson, again, anything could happen. He nearly broke that for a long touchdown run.
Yeah, the Norristown defense has been so solid throughout this first half, but that series, you know, it just didn't look like the kids were set and ready to defend.
And Cheltenham calls a timeout there. They're out of harm's way getting the ball out to the 30 on that nice run. They feel now maybe they have something up their sleeve, Billy. What do you think?
Well, it'll be interesting to see what they come out with here. Like we discussed earlier, really no need to just run the clock out. You've got 36 seconds left on the clock. Hey, I say roll the dice and see what happens.
You're down 14. You have to convey the message once again. I'll reiterate to your players that we're here to compete and win the game. We're down, we're going to try to score.
Now, Norristown definitely in their secondary will be in a prevent defense, I'm sure. So if Cheltenham does decide to run the ball, you know, you could look for some 10 to 15 yard gains possibly if they get through that linebacking core.
Well, what always amazes me, especially watching NFL games, whenever teams in that 2-minute drill, defenses go to that prevent defense, it always seems like the offensive team at will marches right down the field, Billy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, because it's a defense that the players have different reads, and sometimes they don't read it correctly, and it provides big gaps. So rollout by Ellensworth, and he's going to keep it, and he stayed in bounds. Did you see the official signal to stop the clock?
I believe he did get out of bounds.
Okay.
And great job by the Norristown secondary there. Quarterback had an option on that play to either throw the ball or run the ball, and secondary doing an excellent job.
Number 33 for Norristown was out there. Strung that play out really, really well, along with number 1, Hakeem Jones. Ellensworth is a nice athlete, good size, strong. I saw one during pregame warm-ups. Strong kid. And he pulls up. He's rolling out again. And number 35 for Norristown with a great shoestring-type tackle. Kept him in bounds.
Yeah, that was Joe Ivins on that stop. Sorry, John Ivins.
Right, John Ivins, who's starting defensive linebacker for Norristown, made a nice play and, more importantly, kept them in bounds, forcing Cheltenham to utilize a timeout to stop the clock and put them in a 3rd and 6 situation.
And I want to mention Josh King, number 33, the player you were alluding to earlier with great coverage. That's 2 plays in a row now that he's done a nice job dropping back into pass coverage.
Yeah, Norristown coming into this year, with the exception of Lou Samba, basically a no-name type of defense or a no-name type of offense, and expectations were really questionable. And I don't say that to be critical, because you want to give these kids credit. They have to identify their own team personality, and I think they've done a good job to this point. When you're 4-0 and well on your way to hopefully winning your 5th, I think that personality is progressing nicely.
Absolutely, and reading in the Times-Herald yesterday, Norristown ranked number 6 in the state of Pennsylvania right now.
That's an incomplete pass, nearly bounced up and into the arms of number 51 for the Eagles, Dan Gant.
Well, that pass was intended for Patterson, and you know, you can't help but wonder if he didn't hear some footsteps on that play. There was a host of Norristown defenders just awaiting Patterson.
Right, they were in good position. Commenting on what you just mentioned about the state rankings and things like that, with football playoffs the way they are now, things are going to be decided on the field, but it is nice for kids to see that their efforts are being recognized statewide in polls. Southeastern Pennsylvania, Norristown's ranked 3rd behind the Central Buck schools, and that's outstanding company to be in. And when you're ranked 6th in the state of Pennsylvania, you're doing something right. And no matter coaches, and I was one to say, you don't care about the polls. Guess what? Coaches do care about the polls.
Oh, absolutely. It's a credit to Coach Grove and his whole coaching staff, and as you said, these young men for all of the efforts that they've put in.
Well, what do you think here? Seconds to go?
Well, 3 seconds left on the clock.
Alley-oop, flea flicker, something like that. Alley-oop is a basketball term. That's the first slip that I've had. But I think they've also referred to that. Hail Mary is the football term, right?
There you go. And you're right. I wouldn't be surprised to see Alford to Terrell, but we do have a handoff.
And that's going to be the end, I believe, of the first half of play with the score. Norristown Eagles 14, the Panthers of Cheltenham High School 0. We'll be back with the second half kickoff very, very shortly.
14-0 at the head. Favor Norristown.